Right, so you've probably heard of AppSumo. They're essentially a listing website for mostly software tools that make around $60 million a year, right? And on this video, I want to cover what their business and SEO strategy is that essentially gets them 15% of their traffic coming from search engines like Google or Bing. So I'm going to cover it all. I'm going to give you some tips. So let's just get started. And actually, this isn't public, but they seem to be making $80 million a year now. And again, this is a quote unquote simple type of business. It is essentially a listing site, though simple definitely doesn't mean easy, right? So let's get started with the video. So first of all, AppSumo, they've been around for a lot of years now. And of course, their domain power, domain rating is 82. They have almost 2 million backlinks, as we can see here. So 2 million backlinks right here. Different tools give you different numbers, and a monthly organic traffic of 200,022 users every single month, mostly from the United States. Okay, so one thing that's key about AppSumo is their distribution. Now, this is key in any single business, but AppSumo does it very well. I'm going to first talk about distribution, and then I'm going to talk about their SEO strategy. So, distribution, of course, there's more things to it, but these are the main ones. Their distribution channels are their blog, their email list, and their YouTube. They also have TikTok and Instagram, but this is mostly short form content, which nowadays essentially just leads people to a longer form videos on YouTube, and that's been the trend all over the world at the moment. Not to say that people cannot go from short form content, TikTok and Insta to the website and know about the brand that way. They can, but most times what happens is the content on YouTube is chopped up and syndicated to these platforms, but then people will go here eventually. So now, one thing in common between the blog and the YouTube is that people reach the blog and people reach YouTube through a search engine, right? To reach articles on the blog, they have to search on Google or Bing or any other search engine. YouTube is the same, right? Of course, YouTube recommends you content, but at the end of the day, it is a search engine, much like TikTok, and Insta. Now, again, between the blog and YouTube, traffic comes from a search engine. Either it's Google, Bing, or YouTube. It is a search engine. And traffic can come from internal links, for example, blog articles. So you have a blog on AppSumo, a blog post, which can link and does link to multiple other blogs, right? Or, for example, recommended videos. When you're on YouTube, you might see a video from AppSumo pop up if it is relevant. Just like an internal link on the blog will only link to an article if it is relevant, right? The thing about YouTube as a search engine is that other blogs or other videos that have, for example, from competing companies can recommend your video. Now, if you had a blog for a competing company, most likely would not link to AppSumo, though, for example, if you had an article on Forbes talking about software companies, you could link to AppSumo. Hopefully that makes sense. And finally, traffic comes from backlinks. Other blogs, just like I said, for example, a backlink from Forbes linking to AppSumo, or other videos linking to AppSumo, or recommendations, which don't really work as a backlink, but do drive traffic that way, right? So that's the first thing I want to talk about. Now, of course, one thing they're doing very well on their YouTube is that they essentially have videos for every single listing. Not all, but almost. And this is where the money and the business comes in for AppSumo, right? Because how would you promote a listing site? And they're very clever on how they do it. The first thing is distribution on YouTube, right? They record videos. All these videos are, for example, let's say this one, add audio, video, and laser pointers, right? This is AirDeck, right? One of the softwares listed here. Let's click this one. And the way they're promoting their listings is through video on their own socials, right? They also send out emails. That's why I mentioned here the email list, right? So they're creating unique pieces of content for every single listing on their website. It's much like Airbnb, for example, would create pieces of content for their most extravagant houses, right? Or their camper vans or their luxurious homes, right? For example, let's say there was a luxurious home in Bali. They were to create this amazing piece of content showing the pool, the scenery, the house, right? That would be very smart, in my opinion, from a marketing standpoint for Airbnb. Creating content and using the listings on their own site, whether that's houses, software, whatever it is, and leveraging that user input to create pieces of content that then drives traffic again to the brand, right? Because this on YouTube, essentially, AppSumo is leveraging their users' content, and then it is an infinite loop, back to AppSumo, right? And again, they're also leveraging short form content. This is a clip from a video, one of these videos. All these are essentially clips. Some of them are not, but most of them are clips. And they're again syndicating it to Instagram as well. So that's that. Now, they also have the blog, which I'll talk about in the second part of this video. And one thing they do have that's quite interesting in terms of a business standpoint is these freebies, right? They also have free listings. Like most of these are paid, but they also give access users to free listings, right? Quite interesting to have a listing site with free listings. I'm unsure if people pay to be here or people pay to be up here, right? But if they do, it is again another revenue driver for AppSumo. Because the main one is, of course, they're taking a fee to list services here or listings here. I talked about Product Hunt yesterday, and I talked about Airbnb, they take a fee. On AppSumo, they also take a fee, right? So there's different ways you can use to monetize a listing website. Now, they put in a lot of effort into social, as you can see here. A lot of effort goes into this. However, organic search is still the second biggest growth driver after, of course, direct traffic, right? Direct traffic, of course, will always be the biggest one, but organic search accounts for 15% of the traffic, right? So people coming in from organic searches account for 15% of AppSumo's $80 million a year business, right? So you can do the math. Of course, it won't be direct proportion, but $80 million a year, part of it is generated by this 15% in organic search traffic. So you can imagine how much value and what's the worth of this traffic, right? And how are they generating that much traffic? It is with their blog. Now, it is not just a simple blog. It has a lot to it, which is super interesting to talk about. Now, if you take here to look at the top pages for AppSumo, most of the top pages on the site, or meaning the pages that get the most traffic, are pages on their blog, right? You can see here as well, most of the pages that get the most traffic, this is the monthly traffic or the monthly clicks, are pages from the blog, right? You can see here as well on this tool. I'll leave a link for this tool in the description as well if you want to test it out. Most of the pages on their site are from blog, right? Most of the pages that get the most traffic are pages on their blog. So the blog is driving a lot of traffic to their main business, which is the whole point of a blog. Now, it is very well crafted, and I want to go over exactly the 8 things they're doing to make sure the blog is as valuable as an asset as possible in converting these 15% into paying customers, okay? So first things first is knowing who your target customer is. This is very, very important, right? Because if you don't know who your target customer is, you cannot develop and implement a proper SEO strategy for it, because you're just going to be spending money, just creating content just because, or creating content for the wrong type of people, right? So you need to create content for the right type of people, and you do that by focusing on the ICP, right? Your ideal customer profile. In the case of AppSumo, you're essentially solopreneurs, online creators, digital marketers, and small agencies. That's the ICPs for AppSumo, ideal customer profile. So again, it's essential to know who you're targeting to develop and implement a successful SEO strategy, because again, if you don't know who you're targeting, you're just going to be spending money just because. Right, it's the first thing, and I know I covered it fast, but it's super, super, super important, right? Even before keyword research, knowing who you're targeting is super, super important. Now, second one is the post frequency. Post frequently and update old content. People often tend to not update old content. One thing AppSumo does very well is they keep on updating and reviving old content, right? Because if the content has value, if it is evergreen, you might as well update it often as you can to make sure people keep on seeing it, right? Because if you spend hours and hours writing a long, informative piece of content, you don't want it to get old and depreciated, right? You want people to see it again in an updated fashion, right? And as you know, SEO is a long-term game, so determining the frequency of posts is crucial for SEO. Starting with one SEO optimized post per week and gradually increasing to 2 or 3 or more can help establishing consistency and targeting a wide range of keywords, right? The whole reason why you'd want to post more frequently is to target a wider range of keywords, thus bringing in more and more customers, right? For example, HubSpot publishes multiple times a day, but HubSpot is a very, very multi-million dollar company, just like AppSumo, of course, but AppSumo, from what I've read, they focus on creating superior pieces of content. For example, like Ahrefs, they don't post content every single day. They focus on posting more in-depth content and more, I'd say, valuable content instead of just pumping out any type of content. Not that HubSpot pumps out low-quality content, but I think you get my point, right? Third, and only now, is keyword research. Now, what they're doing is by narrowing down their target audience, by not targeting everyone, they're able to niche down on topics they write about. right? So before you do keyword research, you need to niche down on your topics. Super, super important. Now, what I find interesting is how AppSumo was able to narrow down on their topics. They essentially asked two questions. This is super interesting, right? How do we connect our free content with our products, right? And we can delete this for now. It doesn't really matter here, right? So how do we connect our free content with our products, right? How do we connect these free posts, right? 10 best podcast recording softwares and apps, free and paid. How do you connect someone reading this with buying the actual products you recommend, right? And what are something others are doing that works, okay? With the goal being to attract users to the blog that convert into paying customers, meaning buying AppSumo's listed products. So the whole goal is to get people from the blog to AppSumo to buy these, any of these products they have listed here. As you can see, these are all in different niches, right? Content marketing, video, calendar, and scheduling, right? A customer that buys, for example, a productivity product might not be the same that buys a stock photo product, right? Even though the ICP is somewhat clear, it's still somewhat broad, right? Solopreneurs and content creators and digital marketers and agencies, it's still quite broad, right? Because of course, AppSumo is a listing site, a marketplace, a directory, website, whatever you want to call it. They inherently we're going to have multiple niches. For example, just like Vetted.com, the marketplace I own and run, you can call it a listing site, you can call it a directory, even though we're just focused around SEO, right? We still have different types of services. For example, a knowledge panel creation, a content brief, backlink app analysis, backlinks building, Wikipedia pages, content creation. We have a bunch of stuff, right? We are essentially a marketplace for the directory side as well. Now, my point here is that by asking these two questions, with the goal of attracting users to the blog that convert, you're able to tailor the blog specifically to these users and tailor it in a way that gets people from the blog to paying customers. Now, the way you do this is through number 8, which I'll cover in just a second. Now, search intent matching is also super, super important because a big part of getting ranked on Google, because it's from Google that they get most of the traffic, is matching the user search intent. Super, super important. Because Google, of course, wants to show its users the most relevant content, right? That's the whole job of Google, right? And if someone lands on your content and leaves immediately, essentially tells Google that the content that they searched for and they clicked on is not relevant, so your site's going to rank lower. So, for example, if they search for SEO Marketplace and they click on a link that leads them to, I don't know, a blog, not really what people are looking for. They're looking for Vetted, right? So Google will essentially de-rank that blog and rank Vetted higher. Of course, it's not just like essentially like that, but you get my point, right? Google wants to show relevant content to its users. Now, to make sure your content matches the user search intent, meaning to make it rank higher, you got to study the first page, right? You got to study what your competition is doing, right? Because your competitors are ranking for a reason, because Google thinks and understands that the content that they're providing their users for a certain key phrases are matching the user search intent because they're clicking on the sites, staying on the sites for long, reading and buying whatever products or services the sites have to offer. Now, how you do this is to doing research on what the competition is doing, creating content briefs, and only then start creating your content. And I got to do a small call to action here for a service on Vetted by Diogo. And essentially what he does is exactly what I just told you, right? He will go out and build a content brief. He has an amazing review here from this buyer right here. And it's amazing what he does, right? It's not just boring content writing. It is exactly what you need for a something like this, right? For this type of strategy to match these searches in user search intent. It is a content brief. I'll leave a link for this in the description. My goal with this video is not to promote this, but I felt like it was necessary to give you some guidance if you want to do something like this where you can find someone to help you out with that, right? Now, moving on to number 7, it is important to have an holistic approach to SEO, and that's exactly what they're doing. Holistic means well-rounded, right? On-page, off-page, and technical. And I won't go over the on-page or off-page because this will be a very long video, but off-page is essentially the links you build. On-page is how you develop the content, what's written in there, keyword research, all that. But one important thing about the technical SEO is here. There are meta titles and meta descriptions. For example, these are search results from Google, right? What you can see here is that these meta titles and meta descriptions are optimized, right? Not just for search, for ranking higher on Google because they have some of the keywords sprinkled both in the meta title and meta description, but all of these are enticing to click on, right? Just like a YouTube video thumbnail, you gotta make sure that these are enticing to click on. And all these are, right? How to launch a successful lifestyle business. 7 incredible websites ideas, turn your hobbies into whatever. 3 surprising insights from analyzing 1.8 million Instagram accounts, right? So all of these are well crafted into getting people to click on them, right? So it's not just about off-page, on-page, little technical things like schema markup and all that. It's also about these little creative things that essentially can push people to click your blog and, of course, get more traffic to it. So these essentially optimize your click-through rate, because not only are they optimized for Google to get the blog post ranking higher, but also for clicks. Super, super important. And number 8, finally, what I mentioned before, is having a clear and multiple calls to action. For example, if you go on AppSumo's blog right here, you can see a whole bunch of calls to action, right? First of all, this one right here, that's 1. That's 2 for their email list. That's 3 for their marketplace, for their listings. In the middle, there's a bunch more listings here. Again, these links to all their listings, the marketplace, their products, the things that they're trying to sell you with the blog. Keep on scrolling down. That's an external link. If you keep on scrolling down, right here, these are okay. The AppSumo source, so internal link for AppSumo.com. So it's not just the boring blog with just text, right? Because the goal here is not just have the user read the blog, right? Yes, of course, you want them to read, but the end goal is to get them to buy your product or service. And that's one thing that AppSumo is doing great. They have call to actions all around, so that when they can, again, this is another internal link, they link people to their product pages, which is, of course, what they're trying to sell, right? They're trying to convert all of these 15%, which are millions of people every single month, into buying their products. And for that, you have to have all of this, and of course, clear and multiple call to actions on the actual content people are reading, either to your newsletter, because then you can target them to the newsletter and show them products through emails, or just directly linking them to products from here, right? So super, super important. Number 8, all these are very important. That's essentially how AppSumo is growing and grew their organic traffic into not just numbers, right? Because you can get 1 million views, but if you're making $0, sorry, doesn't really matter. You want to make money with the traffic you're getting. So very clever way for AppSumo to essentially monetize their blog and use all the traffic they're getting in converting it into paid customers. And that's it. That's the video for today. If you're interested in creating a site like AppSumo, so a listing site where you can list software or houses or people or whatever you want, I'll leave a link for this in the description. This is something we're launching. I will give you a $99 lifetime deal, right? 1 directory website, 0 transaction fees, unlimited listings, unlimited users. You can even connect it with your custom domain. It has a blog attached to it. So just like AppSumo has here a blog attached to it, right? That brings in traffic to the listing site. Because yes, you can have a listing site, but if you don't market it, if you don't get traffic to it, it's pointless, right? We'll hook you up with a native blog which can post content automatically if you want. It is always SEO optimized. You can integrate Google Ads, all that. And we also have you onboarded with dedicated SEO expert to help you monetize the website. Because in the end, it's all about the money. So yeah, that's it. You can grab that here if you want. And if you ever need SEO for your listing site or for any other of your SEO business projects, you can go to vetted.com. This is my business where you can essentially invest and have an SEO expert actually taking your business to the next level. You can, of course, invest in 3 things here: the productized services, so links, content, analysis, all that. You can also invest in an SEO's time by booking consulting calls with them. So if you just click here on this Vetted Professionals button, it will take you to this page where you can book a call, for example, with Bradley, with me, with Ron, with Liam. So all of these accept consulting calls. Or if you need more of a tailored SEO strategy, so if you're not looking to buy these productized services from the marketplace, we can also connect you with an SEO expert, a vetted SEO expert, to develop an A to Z tailored SEO strategy that includes on-page SEO, off-page SEO, and technical SEO. You can just go here, book a call with me, and we'll go from there. We have a lot of results here from previous businesses. So that's that. Again, if you want to create a business like AppSumo, listing website, I'll leave a link for this in the description. Thank you so much for watching. These are a bit of a long form videos. Hopefully you like them. You like these breakdowns. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.